Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
Hey, how are you today, Scott?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, the sun is shining, and I always say good things happen on sunshiny days.
They sure do.
Well, I don't know. That's one nice thing about living down here in Texas is that we get a lot more sunshine than, when I lived in Pennsylvania, it would be cloudy and rainy. It'd be that way for weeks.
We had lots of that up in New Hampshire, too, when I used to live there.
Oh, I guess that's why Florida was more exciting.
Oh, lots of sun in Florida. That's why they call it the Sunshine State.
Well, so I was thinking today that we might talk about something that I don't know that you ever can get too old to talk about, and that is kids.
Okay.
And yeah, you and I both, as educators, as well as parents, have a lot of experience with kids of all various walks of life, all kinds of backgrounds.
Yep.
And so I keep trying to think. I mean, I got my own opinions, and working on my counseling degree for the last few years as I have has given me a lot of different things to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking that what sets apart those kids that grow up to be quality functioning adults and those that don't.
Right.
I mean, you run into your former students, and it's kind of like, wow, you really went somewhere. You're doing amazing, good job.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you get those that you don't ever hear from, but you go, well, I bet you they're going to be asking me if I want want that supersized with my drink or what my order, whatever it might be.
Well, we need those ones too.
Well, yes, and not to disparage against that kind of job, but I don't think that's a aspiration that most people say, when I get to be 45, 50 years old, this is where I want to be.
Right.
And so they got me thinking. And, again, you've raised 3 kids, and I'm helping raise 2. And it's kind of like, well, what, in fact, we were having a discussion here off air a few days ago about, what do you do? How do you know where's that line between help and enable?
Okay.
And so I ran across this article, and I thought, well, okay, let's do a bit of a deep dive. And it's an article from a lady who raised 3 very successful children. 2 went on to become CEOs of corporations, and 1 is a doctor.
Now that's success.
Well, exactly. And that's kind of, I'm thinking, okay, so what did she do? And because I think back to how I was raised and how my parents, my sisters and I are, I think, successful. I mean, we don't run Fortune 500 companies or doctors and make millions of dollars a year, but I think we're successful.
Sure, but success is it's a little bit subjective, right? To whatever the person thinks, right? Success could be much different for one person than another, right? Some people's success isn't until you're a millionaire, and other people's success is when they can live comfortable and be happy.
Okay, fair enough. I think I'm at that last part. I did chase the dollar for a while, and It never made me happy. I stopped chasing the dollar, and suddenly life became a lot more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you pass that on to your kids? And so based on a conversation that we were having, like I say, a few days, I don't know if you remember our conversation.
Yeah.
And so I'm exploring this article, and the lady's name is Esther Wojcicki.
Okay.
I'm assuming Polish or Czech.
Sure.
I can't pronounce it, but anyway, so she was.
I just chuckle because I have trouble pronouncing lots of names as well. And
Yeah,
believe it or not, people have trouble pronouncing my name. So
really.
yeah, I mean, last name's Nichols, but I get Nicholas. I get all kinds of other
I've seen it
variations of it.
spelled. Huh.
Yeah, there's no A in it, but that's okay.
Well, I say call me what you want, just don't
Sure.
call me late to dinner.
I'm not offended. I know who I am.
Okay, well, so here's the thing, and the lady was saying that in her opinion, and again, this is entirely her opinion and her experiences, but she was saying that too many parents kind of helicopter, micromanage their kids' lives.
Yeah.
And I would have to say that I've seen a great deal of that with the kids that I've taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's saying, don't do that.
Right.
And let's see. Oh, so as I scroll down, so it's kind of like she gave some ideas of things that maybe you ought to do. And the first thing she says is stop coddling your kids.
Okay.
And so, and again, as I was looking through these, I kept thinking back to how did my parents raise us? And so again, I'm kind of
Did you feel coddled?
Hell
what do we
no.
mean? What does she mean by coddled? What do we mean?
Well, okay. So this is what she explained what you should not do to help a child develop their own sense of, as I took it, independence.
Okay.
To learn how to do things for themselves. And the first thing she says is, don't wake them up. Have them set an alarm.
Maybe that's why some of my students are late.
Maybe.
So,
but I mean, no. And again, I think there's an age time, but I think by the time you get to be, sixth grade, seventh grade, definitely seventh, eighth grade, you should be waking yourself up.
I can remember. I remember back to probably fifth or sixth grade. Believe it or not, we didn't get exciting Christmas gifts all the time. So, I got a lot of Legos, but other times I'd get, really practical things. And I think I got an alarm clock one time. Those alarm clocks from the 70s and 80s that everybody had. Have the red digital numbers on them and maybe the radio station. And, I had this alarm clock, and, I remember using that when I was in at least sixth grade.
Okay.
And, having that set to wake myself up.
I don't remember exactly when I had to start waking myself up, but I want to definitely say by the time I was in high school, so by the time, I'm 14, 15 years old, I had an alarm clock and I'm waking myself up. And so that's kind of what now, I don't know exactly when the age would be, but I would definitely say by, middle school to high school at the maximum.
Sure. Every teenager now has an alarm clock because they have their phone.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
The phone's always charged.
Oh, amen.
The other necessary devices are not always charged, but the phone is, and so the alarm clock thing is a pretty easy thing to do.
Well, and that's why I think it's first. Some of the other stuff, getting dressed. My Lord, I think I was dressing myself. I can't remember when I wasn't dressing myself. I get it for first grade, second grade, but if you're in middle school, if you're 13, 14 years old and your mom or dad are still laying out your clothes for you, I think that's a little bit much.
Well, based on what I see of 13 or 14-year-olds, their parents probably aren't laying out their clothes for them. And if they are, their kids are redressing themselves.
Well, fair enough. Other things is like giving them tasks, fix their breakfast, make their lunch, cook dinner. And I got to say, I've got a number of kids that say they make dinner at least once a week.
I'm big on clean up your own dishes after you eat.
Okay, exactly.
Put them away. You rinse them out, put them in the dishwasher, or just wash them.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is let your kids make their plans, pack their own backpacks. Check their homework. How much do you really need to be checking their homework? Are you done? Okay, good. Then that means your grades ought to be good, right? The other, and so these were the kinds of things that, you should let the kids do to learn the independence, to make their, to kind of learn how to do this stuff, and what's the consequence if you don't.
Right. I agree
And
with that.
so again, I look back and I go, my mom and dad, I had to make my own lunches. Definitely by the time I got to middle school, I was making my own lunches.
I was as well. I mean, especially these days, right? Like both parents generally work.
Yeah.
And so there's not the time to have a parent doing all those things either. So I think it's important for children to get more independent a little sooner than maybe they did in 1950.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly. And I mean, one of the things, and I don't think I explained this very well, but when they're talking about checking homework, just check. Hey, are you done? Yes, no. You don't need to go through and check every single answer. You don't need to, do the homework for them.
Sure, the teachers definitely don't need to know what the parent knows.
Uh,
We're looking for what the student knows and has skills for.
Exactly. She also throws in, and I think we've talked about this before, but the kids need to do chores. And that kind of ties in with the previous episode that we did, that if kids have chores, they learn responsibility.
Yes.
And again, I won't, rehash that horse since we already rode it pretty hard last time. But the idea that, again, there you go. And it doesn't have to be big stuff, but just simple stuff to kind of help them take ownership.
Right.
All right. So that was one.
Okay.
The second thing that she says, and she's, don't worry about perfection.
What?
Yeah.
We don't want everything to be perfect?
Well, she's saying you don't. I mean, now she ties in with something you say all the time. She said that they had to make their beds every morning.
Okay.
And she said that that was an expectation. Now, did it have to be so tight that you could bounce a quarter off of it? No.
Well, we're not trying to be the military.
Well, no. Again, my dad, he would go, well, are these hospital corners?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I got to admit, I don't even know what hospital corners are or how to do them, but maybe I just haven't been in the hospital enough.
okay.
But I mean, I've been to hotels. Some of them do it well, some don't. But at least it's made.
And I think that's what she's saying. Just make your bed. And let the kids try their best. And if they fail, they fail. If they get in, you don't want them to fail, but if they do, okay, then teach them how to pick up the pieces. It doesn't have to be, if they get a 75 or an 80 on something, then that's fine. It's not like they have to be perfect on every assignment, on every test, on every quiz.
Right, but failing isn't, we think that failing is a really, really bad thing, as if they're going to fail through their whole life. But failing just highlights an opportunity to learn.
I think so.
Right? It's not the end all. In fact, through a learning process, failure is part of that process.
Well,
in scientific research, right? There's going to be failure. I mean, people have a hypothesis, they test it out, it fails more often than it succeeds.
Well,
but eventually you get to the success.
And I think that's the point. I have argued time and again that I learn way more from my failures and mistakes than I do from my successes.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of that's is how I'm interpreting what she's saying, that she let her kids fail. And if not necessarily fail, didn't chastise them if they didn't get a perfect score on everything.
Right.
So if you got a 70 or a 75, okay, did you do your best?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the greatest lessons you can have is to learn that failure isn't bad. It's the opportunity to learn. And that if we're learning earlier, then we're less apt to make serious mistakes later.
I think so. I mean, again, based on my experience, based on, things that I have seen from the kids.
Hmm.
If they don't do well, they really rebound, redouble efforts, and try harder the next time.
Sure.
And so I think that's kind of what she's saying.
Okay.
All right. So the third thing, and I totally agree with this, kids are way smarter than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, again, you don't work with kids as much as we do for as long as we have, then and not notice this, because the kids are like water. They truly do take the path of least resistance.
Yep.
And when you make them think, oh, I gotta think, yes, I'm trying to make a shepherd, not a herd of sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Absolutely.
so when they say, well, I can't do that, yeah, you can. You just don't want to.
I think that part of the evidence in that lies in kids' ability to adapt to electronics.
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, like my 4-year-old grandson, he can play video games and do better at them than I have ever been able to do. Right? And he's learned how to turn on the TV, navigate the menu,
Mm-hmm.
find the right input to run the game,
Mm-hmm.
and do all these things that people my age that haven't done that can't figure out for the life of them.
Oh,
Right?
amen.
Kids they're built for learning, and if we don't allow them to fail and teach them those things, then it's going to be harder and harder to learn it.
And that's what she's saying, is that it's not necessarily force them to learn things that they just don't have aptitude for,
Sure.
but they do learn. And part of that is learning how to cope.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, if they're not masters at it, okay, well then how do you cope with that? How do you, teach them how to make their own decisions, to trust their instincts. I mean, I see that in the classroom all the time. Kids are going, I don't want to make a mistake. Ooh, well, I don't know if I want to do this. Well, oh, I thought, and I go and I tell them time and again, your gut is right about 98.5% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So go with it.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you want the kids to cope through it, but part of that is also like overcoming. I mean, that's part of coping, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to overcome whatever that issue is. So if the issue is I didn't do well on the test, then what are you going to do next time to overcome that and to do better? It's one of the things that I do with in a classroom is I try to teach kids and get them to learn, well, what is the thing that caused you to not do well, and what can you do next time to do better? Because that's important, right? And you want to be able to figure out, how am I going to learn better, or how am I going to study better, or how am I going to make this so that the next time I encounter this, it goes better than it did the previous time.
Because it's not the only time you're going to run into a situation that you found yourself in. And that's kind of what
Absolutely.
she's pushing them, she says, push your kids to be able to do, so that they feel empowered to try and try again.
Mm-hmm. And being successful at things is it feels good. Right? That's why I've mentioned several times the idea of making your bed. It's quick, it's easy, it doesn't have to look perfect, but you feel good about it.
Yes.
Right? You look at that bed before you leave and you're like, my room is clean, the bed looks great. And when you get home and you want to go into your room, it feels good then too. And the same could be said for dishes being done, or the floor being vacuumed, taking part and contributing to the family, right? Like when we talked about chores.
Yeah.
I mean, all those things make you feel good, and frankly, they take you less time than arguing.
Just do it.
Right? I mean, you just get it done, and then you feel positive, and somebody says thank you, hopefully, and that gets the recognition, and it reinforces, I want to do that again.
So would it be fair to say that we kind of maybe agree with Esther here?
Sure.
All right, because looking again, Esther she raised these 3 kids. She's an educator like we are. She's a journalist. She's a best-selling author of How to Raise Successful People. But I got thinking, okay, this is one person. this is one person who did this, and okay, is she an anomaly or is she onto something here? So I explored a little more.
Okay.
And I found some more stuff, and I ran across this lady by the name of Margot Bisnow. And she's a writer, a mom, a parenting expert. And she published an article that says, I talked to seven, or where she said she talked to 70 parents who raised highly successful adults. And what, and she came up with some stuff that was a skill that they taught all of their kids. So, I mean, it's not, and they kind of matched with what Esther was doing.
Okay.
And so, in looking at that, one of the key things she taught her kids were how to be more curious, which ties in with what Esther was saying about, well, if you teach them that it's okay not to be perfect, well, then they're going to be more likely to explore and try. And when you do that, well, aren't you curious?
Absolutely. And, you think back to some of the old toys that were popular. Now we have video games that pretty much dominate. And I'm not saying that video games are bad. There's a lot of great video games, right, that teach skills.
Oh, yeah.
That are incredible. But, some of the basic things that we used to have when you had, just Legos, which are really popular now.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
When you get away from doing just the instructions, right, and you start creating your own stuff, like what can you make? What can you design? Those are great toys, right? Like erector sets. These are based on like engineering ideas, but there's a lot of curiosity in that. Like, what can I build that might solve a problem? I remember in school, in middle school, we had the Rube Goldberg project.
Okay.
That we did, and you had to solve a problem. Of course, Rube Goldberg is all about doing some elaborate system that is overkill, right, to solve the problem. But you learn a lot about science and engineering when you do it, and it was exciting for me. I was hands on, and that was a lot of curiosity.
Sure.
And it made me interested in more of that. So,
and that's kind of what she is saying, that by promoting curiosity, well, it allows for deeper and more critical thinking that so that you aren't judging things too quickly. And I might need to explore this myself a little more because I'm not too curious anymore.
I think this is great in school, and for those that have children in schools right now. I mean, inquiry is a huge word, right? In education, and having an inquiry-based classroom or having the students do inquiry-based learning, right? And that's about curiosity, right? Like, let's try to figure out what would you be curious about in this, and then we're going to have you look it up. We're going to have you figure it out through documents or whatever in social studies, right? Like we would have them read documents, and then you need to be curious about it. You need to inquire, and then you need to come up with a solution. And that gets kids more engaged, right? So curiosity is a great thing.
Well, and I love how technology gives kids the opportunity to do just that. Because many times when they're asking, or they're not coming up with an answer to a question, I get, well, gee, I sure wish you had access to the internet, that you could just do a simple inquiry, Google search. I mean, what's this word mean? And suddenly the next thing you know, within by the end of the semester, I don't have to say anything anymore because boom, they're doing it. So again, some examples that, what's her name? Bisnow included in her article. She gave, again, some examples of how curiosity can help. She was saying that the parents that, try this again. My brain was moving faster than my mouth. The guy that invented Geek Squad was 24 years old, and his parents promoted him to push his curiosity to the point where, well, how does things work?
Yeah.
Well, if you push that curiosity, well, you're taking it apart. Well, he learned how to take apart computers and figured out how they work. So therefore, ta-da! Now I know how to make them, fix computers. So because that is, I can break a computer faster than anybody I know.
Right.
But trying to explain what did I do and how did I do it, that's pretty dang hard.
Yeah, I think this is important as a parent too, and I feel like, particularly with my son, I kind of failed on this a little bit. But I think he would have liked to have known how to work on cars a little bit more.
Yeah.
Although now he'd probably just rather just pay the bill to the mechanic, but and the mechanic will be happy with that. But sometimes you want to just be able to do certain things and do them faster. And I did a lot of that. A lot of that was out of necessity, right? So I wouldn't have to pay somebody. But some of it is just out of my desire, from Legos and all those other things. Just knowing how things work and wanting to do that. And if I'm just replacing a part, I want to figure that out. But I didn't really get to that with him. But just fixing things around the house is nice, right? Like if the light bulb's out, teach them how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. If you're going to put up new curtains or something, teach them how to do it. Whatever it might be, fixing the lawnmower, or whatever task that needs to be fixed. Teach them how to do it.
And that's kind of what I think she's trying to get at, is that by doing this, teaching you a little bit of inquisitive nature to look into this stuff, not only do you learn how to fix things, but it also kind of helps you tackle other bigger, more real world problems. So that way, I don't know. I when they're talking about don't helicopter, don't babysit, give your kids chores, give your kids, the opportunity to fail, teach them how to do things for themselves.
Right.
And when, then when this other lady says, if you just teach your kids to be curious, how much more they can do.
Well, I think that leads into one of the next things in that second article that you're talking about there, where another one, she's talking about building confidence.
Oh, sure.
Right. And real world problems. It's kind of hard to have confidence in real world problems if you're not actually dealing with real world situations. And I think this is one of the things that people get upset with education about. They think that, in education, we're not actually teaching them anything that's relevant to the real world, right? Of course, we have kids go through our government classes and tell us that it's one of the most useful classes they've ever had, right? But, in econ is the same. But I know there's a lot of teachers out there teaching real world scenarios to kids, and there's some great stuff coming out of that. But you also need to be changing the light bulb, changing the oil, changing the tire. My last high school I was in, we actually taught kids how to change a tire on a car, right? Because that's a practical skill that anybody might have to do on the side of the road. So, solving whatever problems there are and letting them know you can do it. Right. And what are the steps that you might go to solve any problem? Because it's pretty much the same. So,
yes. And when you have that sense of confidence, it encourages you to try something else and something else and something else. And I sometimes worry about the kids that I know because I fear that their parents have done, or they do too much.
Right.
Cut the apron strings, disconnect the umbilical cord, and let them try on their own.
Exactly.
And on the flip side of that, you want to be there for your kids. You want to help them. You want to help them struggle. And when you see them hurting, you want to help them. And when, you see them, struggling financially, you want to help them. And
it's hard because you want to protect them. But if you protect them from everything all the time, then they're never going to figure out how to deal with that themselves. And, as parents, we're not going to be here forever. Hopefully our kids are here longer than we are. It doesn't happen for everybody, obviously, but, hopefully that happens. And it's, so you have to prepare kids for life. I think, one of the things that she also says, right, is ask the hard questions. Yeah. Make them analyze, right? Have them reflect. Journals are good for that. And,
Yeah.
and lots of young women do that, but young men don't often do that. Journaling, reflecting, analyzing, it's a really good thing. How did you come to that decision? What made you decide to do that? What put you in that situation? How can you do that different next time? Those kinds of things. That's the kind of stuff I ask students after a test, and make them reflect, and they inevitably do better the next time. So it's reflection is worth it.
Thank you, because we do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
As grown adults, well, we kind of I learned anyway the hard way that you benefit a lot by stepping back and looking at it. Well, teach your kids how to do the same thing.
Exactly.
So, well, I think we've kind of run the gambit on this as far as the information provided. So I appreciate Ms. Bisnow, and I appreciate, I'm going to butcher it again, but Wojcicki.
Okay.
Anyway, I appreciate their ideas because I think they have a lot of value and merit from my perspective, or maybe from our perspective, of 33, 34 years of education between the two of us.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a great topic. I think we can go further on it, and I know that next time we were looking at into how failures can help you learn. So we can look deeper into that. But I think there's a lot of great discussion around that.
Amen.
All right.
All right. Well, then I guess until next time, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
See ya.
Bye-bye.